Hey, this is Jason Bellows from Franklin Covey. Hey, just wanted to take a couple minutes and kind of walk you guys through how we calculate scores on the portal for the current version 2x and how we're going to calculate scores in the new version 3.0 or 3x, and then kind of open the discussion up about how you guys feel about it, any feedback you have, what would work best for you guys. So anyway, let's just talk about a simple structure here with two districts, District 1 and District 2, and then two stores underneath each of the districts. Let's say the scores come in. This is how it's calculated currently in the portal in the 2x version. March survey responses come in. March 5th, we get a survey response has an NPS score of 10. March 17th, we get a survey response with the NPS score of 9. Store number 2 also gets some surveys. Store 3 also gets some surveys, and store 4 as well. When we go to calculate the score for March, it becomes time to publish. We grab the current stores that are underneath District 1, so store 1 and 2, and then we look at their survey responses, and then we publish a score based on those survey responses for the stores that are underneath it. So in this case, District 1 gets an NPS score of 0 because it had 50% promoters, 50% detractors. District 2 gets an NPS score of 50 because its stores had survey responses where 75% were promoters, 25% were detractors. Now April comes along, surveys are coming in for April. It's kind of the same type of responses. Store 1 is doing really well. Store number 2 is doing poorly. Store 3 is doing good. Store 4 is doing a little bit better in April. Now, right before we go to publish, Store 1 moves to District 2. So in the current 2x version of the portal, the way that we publish scores is that we look for all stores that are underneath District 1 at the time of publish. So even though Store 1 moved on, say April 29th, and we're publishing on April 30th, Store 1 is not found underneath District 1, and so we only get the responses for Store 2 at publish time. So now his April NPS score drops like a rock, and he goes down to negative 100. District 2, on the other hand, just got this new store in to their district, and now their scores, they get the scores for that store, and they jump from a 50 to a 66 at publish time. The 3-month score is kind of the same way. District 1 gets all of the stores underneath it. It gets all of their last 3 months survey responses. And so in this case, they're all bad. And so he has a 3-month score in April of negative 100. District 2, even though Store 1 wasn't in District 2 for March or most of April or all of April really, right before the publish, District 2 gets all of the scores for both Store 3 and Store 4 as well as Store 1. And so their 3-month NPS score for April is 66. Now, let's look at how we're planning on doing this in 3.0 because we think there's some room for improvement here. Let's say we have the same structure and March surveys are coming in. The way we're going to do it in 3, we're thinking, is that store number 1, the survey responses, as soon as they come into the store, it's going to look and see which district that store belongs to, and it's also going to put them in that district. It's going to do the same for Store 2, Store 3, and Store 4. So now these districts basically have survey responses in them for March. When it comes time to publish, they use the survey responses that they have. They don't necessarily look to see what stores are inside them at the time. Instead, they just look to see which survey responses they have, and they publish a score based on that. So here, the March NPS score for District 1 is 0, District 2 it's 50, same as before. Here, April comes in and more survey responses come in, and so we write them up to the district just like we did for March. But now when Store 1 moves, the survey responses that belong to Store 1 no longer go into District 2. Instead, these two survey responses, April 9th and April 12th, because the store moved on April 29th, those two survey responses still stay with District 1 instead of going over to District 2. So now when it comes time to publish April's score, they get an NPS score of 0. District 2 gets an NPS score. They don't get any of these survey responses from Store 1, so they get a score of 50, 75% promoters minus 25% detractors, so they get a score of 50. And that's kind of how we're planning on handling it for the 3.0 portal. The reasoning is that we feel like the survey responses that came in while this district was in charge of the store or this district manager was over these stores should stay with that district. They shouldn't automatically, go somewhere else just because the store moved. You shouldn't get those surveys. For the 3-month score, it's the same way as the 1-month score. This store, his March and April scores, they still stay over here in District 1 because that's where he was at the time that those scores came in. And District 2 does not get any of Store 1's because Store 1 moved April 29th, right before the publish, and none of these survey responses came in after the 29th. If you look at the way a lot of the financial calculations are done, we're finding that the big thing is comp stores. So comparable stores are same store sales. And it's basically year-over-year financials. And if we look at a quick sample using the same structure, where Store 1, March of 2012 did 5.1 million, March of 2013 did 5.3 million, Store 2 did 1.1 million and then increased the next year to 1.2 million. If you look at the district, it shows that March 2012 they did 6.3, and then the next year, March 2013, they did 6.5. If you look at District 2, let's say District 2 has store number 3 in it, and store 3 was not yet open in March 2012, so we have a 0 here. For March 2013, they did 3.7 million. Store 4, on the other hand, started March 2012, did 4 million, and then March 2013, they decreased to 3 million. But if you look at the financials, just kind of doing a normal roll-up method, not using comp store financials, just a normal kind of roll-up, it would show that March 2012 was 4 million, and March 2013 they increased it to 6.7 million. But really that increase is based on a new store opening, not that they increased the performance of their existing stores. And so really the way it should be calculated using comp store financials is that March 2012 they only did 4 million, and in March 2013 they did 3 million. You can't count this March 2013 for store 3 of 3.7 million because this store hasn't been open for a year. With the way that the current 2x portal works, we can kind of see how there's a need to do this kind of calculated the way the financials work, because when a store moves, when Store 1 moves, all of a sudden District 2 score jumps up from this move, and District 1's score drops from this move. And nothing, really changed, inside District 1 or District 2 in terms of like how they've been performing, except for just the structure got rearranged. And so we feel like in version 3, this will not happen. There won't be big jumps and changes just because you move a store from one store to another one. The way that it calculates scores, these survey responses in the new version of the portal, these survey responses that came in for Store 1 will continue to stay with District 1 and will affect District 1's 3-month score, for 3 months, after they get the responses. They'll affect their 6-month score for 6 months after they get the survey responses, and their 12-month score for 12 months after they get the survey responses. So, it doesn't really, it's not really the same as that financial data, having a big impact just because you open up a new store. It's the same kind of when we look at it from the way we're going to calculate scores in the future. A store opening up isn't going to have a big impact on all of a sudden, your NPS score for this district is going to jump because a new store opened or anything like that. At the same time, if we look at, let's say, score closes, let's say District 2 decides for some reason to close store number 3, it's not like in May their scores are just going to drop off. Using the new version of the portal 3.0, these scores for store number 3 continue to get calculated into May's 3-month NPS score, he still gets to use the March 4th NPS score and the March 22nd NPS score and so on. So just because you close a store doesn't mean that you all of a sudden lose all the survey responses for that store. This is kind of what we're thinking for 3.0 about how we're going to calculate scores. We'd love to kind of open the doors for discussion and kind of hear what your thoughts are, and if we need to kind of incorporate the comps store sales, or if the way that we're going to be doing it 3 is adequate.